Next spring, thousands of gardeners will step outside, look at their hostas, and wonder what went wrong. The clumps won't be as full. The leaves will be smaller. Some plants won't return with the same strength they had the year before. Most people will blame the winter. They'll be wrong. For many gardens, the real mistake happened months earlier in August. And that's what makes it so deceptive. Right now, your hosta may look perfectly healthy. But while it appears to be slowing down above ground, something much more important is happening below the surface. The plant is quietly preparing for next spring, and one common August habit can interrupt that process without you ever realizing it. You won't notice the damage tomorrow. You probably won't notice it this fall. You'll notice it when new shoots emerge after winter, and by then, it's too late to change what happened. The good news is that once you understand what your hosta is doing this month, the right decisions become surprisingly simple. Because August isn't the end of the season. It's the beginning of next spring. In this video, I'll show you the 5 August mistakes that quietly reduce your hosta's potential and the simple changes that help it return stronger, fuller, and healthier when growth begins again. And strangely enough, the biggest mistake isn't pruning. It isn't fertilizer. It's something almost every gardener does with a garden hose. Let's start there. The biggest August mistake isn't underwatering your hosta. It's watering for today's leaves instead of tomorrow's plant. Remember, August isn't the end of the season. It's the beginning of next spring. That changes how you should think about watering. Earlier in the year, your hosta uses most of its energy to produce new leaves. By late summer, those leaves have a different purpose. They're acting like solar panels, producing sugars that are moved into the crown and roots, where they'll fuel the first flush of growth after winter. A light daily sprinkle makes the leaves look refreshed. The roots tell a different story. Moisture rarely reaches the entire root zone, so the surface dries quickly, encouraging another shallow watering. Over time, that cycle keeps the topsoil damp, while the deeper roots receive less consistent moisture. Instead, water slowly and deeply so the entire root zone is moistened. Then allow the surface to begin drying before watering again. The goal isn't to water more often. It's to water more effectively. Whenever possible, direct the water at the soil instead of the leaves. Prolonged wet foliage can encourage certain fungal diseases, while damp conditions around the plant also favor slugs and snails. Before you reach for the hose, ask yourself one simple question. Am I watering because the leaves look thirsty, or because the roots actually need it? That single question changes the way you garden in August. Because once the roots have what they need, many gardeners make another well-intentioned mistake. They begin cleaning up leaves that are still quietly preparing next year's growth. If your hosta suddenly looks tired in August, don't assume it's finished for the year. That's where many gardeners go wrong. Brown edges, a few slug holes, leaves that aren't as vibrant as they were in spring. It's tempting to grab the pruning shears and tidy everything up. The problem is, appearance and productivity aren't the same thing. A leaf doesn't have to look perfect to be doing important work. As long as it's mostly green, it's still capturing sunlight and helping the plant build the energy reserves it needs for dormancy and the following season. Think of it like a slightly scratched solar panel. It may not look perfect. It still generates power. Your hosta works the same way. Removing healthy green leaves too early reduces the amount of energy the plant has time to store before dormancy. That's why experienced gardeners don't ask, "Does this leaf still look good?" They ask, "Is this leaf still helping the plant?" Those are two very different questions. Now, if a leaf has turned completely yellow, brown, or shows obvious signs of disease, remove it. It's finished its job and may become a source of pests or disease. But don't confuse an imperfect leaf with a useless one. Many gardeners do, and their hostas pay the price months later. One pattern you'll often see is this. The healthiest hostas usually aren't growing in gardens where every imperfect leaf is removed. They're growing in gardens where healthy leaves are allowed to finish their job. Because August isn't the end of the season. It's the beginning of next spring. And once you've protected the leaves that are still earning their keep, there's one mistake that can quietly undo much of that work in just a few days. It starts with a bag of fertilizer. When your hosta starts slowing down in August, it's easy to assume it needs one last feeding. After all, that's what we've been taught. A plant looks tired. You give it fertilizer. It sounds helpful. For your hosta, it's often the exact opposite. By August, your hosta is changing priorities. It's no longer focused on making bigger leaves. It's focused on finishing the season. The healthy leaves you've protected are still producing sugars, but instead of building new growth, the plant is moving those reserves into the crown and roots, where they'll power the first shoots you'll see after winter. That's why August isn't the end of the season. It's the beginning of next spring. A heavy application of high nitrogen fertilizer sends the opposite message. Instead of saying, "Get ready for dormancy," it tells the plant, Keep growing. Your hosta responds by producing soft, tender leaves at a time when it should be storing energy instead. Those leaves may look fresh for a while. That's what makes this mistake so convincing. Many gardeners see greener growth and assume the fertilizer worked. In reality, the plant may have redirected energy that would have been better stored for the following season. You probably won't notice the difference this year. You'll notice it when growth resumes. Here's something that surprises many gardeners. The biggest, healthiest hostas usually aren't the ones that kept growing the longest. They're the ones that entered dormancy with the fullest energy reserves. If you've been feeding your hosta through spring and early summer, August is usually the time to stop pushing growth and let the plant follow its natural rhythm. But even fertilizer can't protect your hosta from the next challenge. One hot August afternoon can stress the plant more than many gardeners realize. And the reason has very little to do with the calendar. If your hosta suddenly develops brown edges in August, your first instinct is probably to blame a lack of water. Sometimes that's true, but not as often as many gardeners think. The real problem often began weeks earlier. By August, your hosta has already spent months producing leaves, coping with summer heat, and competing with nearby trees and shrubs for moisture. Each hot day adds a little more stress. Eventually, the plant reaches a tipping point. That's why damage often seems to appear overnight. The sun didn't suddenly become harsher. Your hosta simply became less able to cope with it. Once you understand that, the brown edges make much more sense. Adding more water won't repair sun-scorched tissue. Those damaged cells won't recover. Your goal now isn't to fix the injured leaves. It's to protect the healthy ones that are still building the reserves your hosta will rely on after winter. One of the simplest things you can do is spend a few minutes watching your garden between 2 and 5 p.m. You may discover that a spot you always considered part shade now receives far more afternoon sun than you realized. As nearby plants grow and the season changes, the amount of direct sunlight reaching your hosta can change too. If your hosta is growing in a container, moving it into deeper afternoon shade is often enough to reduce additional stress. If it's planted in the ground, keep the soil consistently moist and apply a layer of organic mulch if needed. Mulch helps moderate soil temperatures and slows moisture loss during extended hot weather. Here's the important part. Don't judge your hosta by the leaves that are already damaged. Judge it by the healthy green leaves still doing their job. Because another visitor arrives after sunset. And unlike the sun, it feeds on your healthiest leaves first. If you've walked into your garden on an August morning and found fresh holes in your hosta leaves, it's easy to blame the slugs. They're certainly part of the story. But focusing only on the slugs misses the bigger problem. Slugs need 3 things: moisture, shade, shelter. By late summer, many hosta beds provide all 3. Dense mulch, cool soil, thick foliage, evening watering. It's the perfect environment for nighttime feeding. That's why simply scattering slug pellets often becomes an endless cycle. You may reduce the population for a while, but if the conditions stay the same, new slugs quickly replace the old ones. Start by changing the environment. Water earlier in the day whenever possible so the soil surface has time to dry before nightfall. Remove unnecessary hiding places like old boards, empty pots, or piles of damp leaves around your hostas. Then do something most gardeners never think to do. Go outside about an hour after sunset with a flashlight. You'll often catch the slugs while they're actively feeding, making them much easier to remove than they are during the day. But don't lose sight of what really matters. A few holes in older leaves are mostly cosmetic. Those leaves are still helping your hosta store energy. Removing them too early often does more harm than the slug damage itself. Remember, August isn't the end of the season. It's the beginning of next spring. Protect the healthy leaves that are still doing useful work. The rest is mostly appearance. And that leads to one final mistake. Many gardeners panic when they see yellow leaves in late summer. Sometimes that's the first sign of a problem. But just as often, it's a sign your hosta is doing exactly what nature intended. By late August, it's completely normal for your hosta to look different than it did in spring. Some older leaves begin fading. Others develop patches of yellow. A few naturally lean against the soil. At first glance, it can look like something has gone wrong. In many cases, nothing has. Your hosta is simply finishing the season. As dormancy approaches, the plant begins reclaiming nutrients from its oldest leaves. Instead of wasting those valuable resources, it moves much of them into the crown and roots, where they'll be stored until growth resumes. That's why a few yellowing outer leaves in late summer are often perfectly normal. The center of the plant tells a much more important story. If the newest leaves remain green, firm, and upright, your hosta is usually doing exactly what it should. If the youngest leaves begin yellowing first, if the crown feels soft or develops an unpleasant smell, or if the entire plant suddenly wilts despite consistently moist soil, It's time to take a closer look. Here's an easy way to remember the difference. Older leaves first, usually normal seasonal aging. Newer leaves first, usually a warning sign. That simple rule won't identify every problem, but it will stop you from making one of the most common mistakes in gardening, trying to fix a healthy plant. And that's really what this entire video has been about. Understanding what your hosta is trying to accomplish before deciding how to help it. Because August isn't the end of the season. It's the beginning of next spring. The gardeners who grow the biggest, healthiest hostas aren't constantly reacting. They're observing, they're understanding. Then they're acting only when the plant actually needs them. So before we finish, let's bring everything together into one simple August routine you can follow every year. Let's bring everything together. If you remember only one thing from this video, make it this. August isn't the end of the season. It's the beginning of next spring. While your garden appears to be slowing down, your hosta is still hard at work. Every healthy green leaf is helping build the energy reserves that will fuel the first flush of growth after winter. That's why your August routine is surprisingly simple. Water deeply so moisture reaches the entire root zone. Leave healthy green leaves alone. Even imperfect leaves are still doing valuable work. Skip heavy late-season fertilizer. Let your hosta prepare naturally for dormancy. Reduce unnecessary stress. Keep the soil consistently moist, mulch if needed, and protect the plant from intense afternoon sun during extended hot weather. Change the conditions that attract slugs, not just the slugs themselves. Don't panic over a few older yellow leaves. Learn the difference between normal seasonal aging and signs of a real problem. Notice what's missing from that list. No miracle fertilizer. No secret homemade spray. No expensive gardening gadget. The biggest difference doesn't come from buying more products. It comes from understanding how your hosta naturally prepares for the seasons ahead. So next spring, when your hostas emerge stronger, fuller, and healthier, you won't be wondering whether you got lucky. You'll know the difference was made months earlier when most gardeners thought the season was already over. If you enjoy learning why plants behave the way they do, not just what to do, you're in the right place. Every week we break down the science behind better gardening into practical, easy-to-follow advice that helps you grow healthier plants with confidence. And before you go, I'd love to hear from you. What growing zone are you gardening in? And what's the biggest challenge your hostas face every August? Share it in the comments. Your experience might help another gardener solve the same problem. Thanks for watching. And until next time, happy gardening.